A really nice change for Eldar players today. Games Workshop have actually gone ahead and fixed the stupidity that was the Codex Autarch datasheet. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where I feel like today is going to be one of those days where we make lots of YouTube videos. We've had new Tyranid rules and new Rough Riders teased already, but Games Workshop have made another really quite fun rules update that went ahead and fixed a rather dumb problem in the Eldar Codex. I made a video about this the other week, but basically I felt that the single dumbest thing that they'd done in the Eldar Codex was the rather strange weapon options on the Autarch datasheet. Basically what Games Workshop had done, which is kind of in line with what they've done for a lot of other factions, is that they divided the models' rules between the two models that you could buy. Out of these two models, you could either have the big multi-part one on the left with all of his options and trade out between the ranged weapons, melee weapons, warp jump generator, and the Banshee mask, but you couldn't mix any of the options with the monopose Autarch on the right, the one with the swooping hawk wings, fusion pistol and power sword. I think for a fair few other factions it's really not that big a deal. It can make the datasheet a bit annoying and clunky, but at the same time it's not really the end of the world, and it does mean that you don't have to buy multiple kits to get an optimal loadout of HQ. I think the reason it particularly grated on these Autarchs though was because Games Workshop specifically said that they designed the kits to be compatible together so you could mix and match weapon options. A really smart bit of design work in the miniature department if you ask me, and it does feel really off to say that you can combine the kits, and then as soon as the rules come out, actually it turns out that if you have combined the kits, then congratulations, you've just made an illegal Autarch that you can't field in game. The fluff standpoint really isn't that great as well. Autarchs are supposed to be able to represent any part of the various different aspect shrines, and it does feel really arbitrary to just lock off a few different options that for no apparent reason can't be combined with all the rest. Perhaps the single biggest fail, though, was that the Autarch on the front cover of the Eldar Codex actually combines an illegal combination of these. Basically, most of the war gear from the multi-part Autarch on the left combined with the very nice swooping hawk wings of the guy on the right. He looks really awesome, and it does just feel like a bit of a facepalm moment to say that no, you're not allowed to field the very guy who's on the front cover of your book. I did think in the previous video I made that this could be a really easy win for them. Just throw together some digital rules, you make everyone happy, and you'd probably sell more models to boot. And it would seem that that's exactly what they've done. I'm sure they got a lot of communication about it once they released their codex, so the rules team seemed to have got on it double quick and basically made some very simple changes to de-restrict the Autarch weapon options so you can mix and match exactly what you want. You can still field both of the loadouts from both of these models, but you're not going to be stopped from mixing and matching them, making it great for fielding the Autarch on the front cover, fielding any older versions of Autarchs like the ones that you can see down here below, and it does make the Autarch datasheet just a little bit more powerful as well, as you get your best pick of the options. On the new datasheet, the swooping hawk wings cost you 15 points, so 5 points cheaper than the Autarch jump generator. You don't get the enhanced battle focus move, but I think they might still be actually more popular than the jump generator. You do get a little bit more movement, they're cheaper, and of course who doesn't like a massive great big winged Autarch zooming around? I think it really makes the model look a lot nicer. The fusion pistol also looks like it could be a really competitive choice. 5 points for basically a mini melter gun with d6 plus 2 damage all the time. Very short range of course, but if that even gets to fire once per game, then I think there's a good chance it makes its points back. The Manda Blasters also cost 5 points for the helm. They're the ones that give you an extra mortal wound on wound rolls of a 6 in melee. That actually isn't a bad melee buff to be honest, particularly with a fair amount of attacks coming out of an Autarch, but I still think that that's rarely going to get taken over the Banshee mask, as the Banshee mask gives you a fight's last mechanic when you charge in, plus also gets you to ignore Overwatch, two really powerful abilities for a melee model, particularly as both of those helms cost the same points. Still though, if you weren't taking a Banshee mask for whatever reason, I think the Manda Blasters do absolutely fine. Finally, the Banshee Blade's power sword, I think that will generally be taken more for looks than anything else now. It's got AP-4, which is a touch better than the Starglaive, but with the Starglaive giving you more strength and damage, the two don't really compare. The Starglaive is pretty much just flatly better than either that or the Scorpion Chainsword really. To be honest though, even if you modelled it with a power sword, I don't really see many people kicking up a fuss if you're choosing to use it as a glaive rather than a sword. They're both basically fancy Eldar power weapons, and I can't think many people would be so pedantic to split hairs in game. Overall though, I think that's a really nice change. Nice to see Games Workshop actually going a little bit out of their way to fix a problem that's very easily fixed. Definitely feels like a win both for hobbyists and Games Workshop themselves. Apparently they are doing a limited production run of a couple of old Eldar Autarchs as well, These models with the warp jump generator and swooping hawk wings, the versions before they were rendered in plastic, certainly ties in pretty well now they can actually be legally fielded again, and it's very nice for anyone who already happens to own those models. If you've got some classic Autarch sitting around, then you can put them back in action, no questions asked. Overall, a small good news story I think from Games Workshop there. Good to see them actually responding to criticism from time to time. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to keep up with 40k news, and I'm sure we'll have a fair few Eldar videos on the channel in the next days and weeks. Finally, if you have been enjoying the videos on the channel, feel free to check out the channel's Patreon page down in the comments below. It is what keeps all these videos coming quite so regularly, as it allows me to spend the time to sit around making YouTube videos about model soldiers as the main thing that I do. I do try and give a fair few advantages for channel patrons, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the monthly prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help out, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.